Confidence is not something you wait to feel. It is something you decide to practice until fear loses its voice. How would your life change if you stopped shrinking in rooms that need your presence? What would happen if you stopped overthinking every move and started trusting your own direction? Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they hesitate, they doubt, they hold back. And while they wait for the perfect moment, life moves on without them. This is not about fake positivity or loud talk. This is about building real, unshakable self-belief that shows in your posture, your tone, and your decisions. Dangerous confidence means you act even when your heart beats fast. It means you stop asking for approval and start owning your path. It means you raise your standards and refuse to lower them for comfort. In this journey, you will learn how to silence excuses, handle pressure, trust your instincts, and live in a way that others can feel. If you are ready to stop playing small and start becoming the strongest version of yourself, stay with me. Your next level begins now. Chapter 1. Build confidence that scares your excuses. I want you to think about your excuses, not the big dramatic ones, the small quiet ones, the ones that show up in the morning when the alarm rings, the ones that whisper when you know you should speak up but stay silent, the ones that tell you to wait one more day before you start working on your dream. Excuses feel comfortable. They feel safe. They protect your pride. They protect you from embarrassment. They protect you from failure. But they also protect you from growth. And if you want to become dangerously confident, you must build confidence that scares your excuses into silence. Confidence is not loud talk. It is not showing off. It is not pretending to be fearless. Real confidence is built when you do what you said you would do, especially when you do not feel like doing it. It is built when your actions become stronger than your emotions. Every excuse is trying to keep you comfortable. Comfort feels warm. It feels familiar. It feels easy. But growth feels different. Growth feels tight in your chest. It feels like your hands are slightly cold before you take action. It feels like your heart beats faster when you step into something new. That feeling is not weakness. That feeling is a sign you are stretching. If your confidence does not challenge your comfort, it will never become dangerous. And when I say dangerous, I mean powerful enough to break patterns, powerful enough to change your future, powerful enough to make people notice that you are different. The first step is simple. Stop negotiating with yourself. When you decide to wake up at 6, wake up at 6. When you decide to go to the gym, go. When you decide to make that phone call, make it. The more you debate with yourself, the weaker your self-trust becomes. The faster you act, the stronger it grows. You do not build confidence by thinking about it. You build it by keeping small promises. Small promises create small wins. Small wins create belief, and belief becomes a steady feeling inside your body. It becomes the way you walk. It becomes the way you speak. It becomes the way you look at people. Your excuses are emotional reactions. They are not facts. They say you are tired. They say you are not ready. They say you might look foolish. But those are feelings, not reality. Feelings change. Decisions shape your life. There will be moments when you feel nervous. Your stomach might feel tight. Your voice might shake. Your hands might sweat. That is human. That is normal. Dangerous confidence does not remove those sensations. It moves forward with them. It says, I feel this, but I am going anyway. The reason excuses are so powerful is because they protect your identity. If you never try, you never fail. If you never speak, you never get judged, but you also never grow. And over time, that silent regret becomes heavier than the fear of trying. Look at your life honestly. Where are you holding back? Where are you playing small? Where are you choosing safety over growth? That is where your confidence needs to be built. Start with one area, just one. It could be your health, it could be your career, it could be your relationships. Choose one promise and keep it daily. If you say you will read 10 pages, read them. If you say you will practice your skill for 30 minutes, practice. The repetition builds strength, not physical strength, inner strength. As you keep showing up, something changes. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to respect yourself. And when you respect yourself, other people feel it. You do not need to demand attention. Your presence speaks. There is a certain look in the eyes of a confident person. It is steady. It is calm. It is not begging for approval. That look is earned. It is earned through discipline. It is earned through facing discomfort again and again. Confidence that scares your excuses means your excuses no longer control your schedule. They no longer decide when you move. They no longer decide when you speak. You decide. You may lose sometimes. You may try something and fail. Your plan might not work. People might reject you. That will hurt. You might feel it in your chest. You might feel disappointed. But pain is temporary. Regret can last for years. When you train yourself to take action, even when it feels uncomfortable, your brain adapts. What once felt terrifying begins to feel normal. What once felt impossible begins to feel manageable. That is how growth works. It expands your limits slowly. Many people wait to feel confident before they act. That is backwards. Action creates confidence. Not the other way around. The first speech will feel scary. The 10th will feel easier. The first workout will feel hard. The 30th will feel routine. Repetition changes your self-image. Your self-image is the story you believe about yourself. If you believe you quit easily, you will quit. If you believe you follow through, you will follow through. So change the evidence. Give yourself proof that you are someone who does not back down. Dangerous confidence also means taking responsibility. No blaming, no pointing fingers. If something in your life is not working, ask what you can change. That question gives you power. Blame takes power away. You do not need to be perfect. You need to be consistent. You do not need to be fearless. You need to be willing. Willing to feel uncomfortable. Willing to be seen trying. Willing to stand alone sometimes. There will be days when you do not feel strong. On those days, rely on your habits. Habits carry you when emotions are low. That is why discipline is a form of self-respect. It keeps you moving when motivation fades. As your confidence grows, your excuses become weaker. They still appear, but they sound different. They lose authority. You begin to notice them without obeying them. You hear the voice that says, "Stay comfortable," and you answer with action. This kind of confidence changes your posture. You stand straighter. You speak clearer. You make decisions faster. You stop over-explaining. You stop shrinking to make others comfortable. And here is something important. Dangerous confidence is not about dominating others. It is about mastering yourself. It is about having such control over your choices that your past patterns no longer define you. Think about how your life would look if you stopped delaying action. Imagine the progress after 1 year of keeping promises. Imagine the pride you would feel knowing you did not run from discomfort. That pride is quiet but powerful. You deserve to experience that. You deserve to feel strong in your own skin. You deserve to trust your own decisions. So build confidence that scares your excuses. Build it through action. Build it through discipline. Build it through honesty with yourself. Build it through responsibility. Build it by showing up again and again. One day, you will look back and realize the fear that once controlled you no longer has power. The excuses that once stopped you no longer matter. And in their place stands a person who acts with clarity, who speaks with certainty, who moves with purpose. That is dangerous confidence. It does not shout, it does not beg, it does not hide, it stands firm, and it begins with a simple choice to act today, not tomorrow. Chapter 2. Stop caring what small minds think. One of the biggest traps in life is living under the opinions of people who have never built anything meaningful. I have met thousands of men and women over the years, and I can tell you something very simple and very honest. Most people are not thinking about your success. They are thinking about their own fears. And when someone who is afraid looks at someone who is trying, they often respond with doubt. If you want to become dangerously confident, you must stop caring what small minds think. A small mind is not about intelligence. It is about attitude. A small mind avoids growth. A small mind criticizes effort. A small mind feels threatened by ambition. When you begin to improve your life, small minds feel uncomfortable. You can feel it. You share an idea and someone laughs lightly. You talk about a goal and someone says it is unrealistic. You change your habits and someone calls you different. That moment can sting. You feel it in your chest. Your face gets warm. For a second, you question yourself. That is the test. Most people shrink in that moment. They lower their goals to fit the room. They soften their voice. They pretend they were joking. And slowly, they adjust their dreams to match the comfort of others. Confidence grows when you refuse to shrink. Understand this clearly. When someone reacts negatively to your growth, it usually has very little to do with you. It has everything to do with what your growth reminds them of. It reminds them of their own hesitation. It reminds them of the risks they never took. It reminds them of the effort they avoided. You cannot build a powerful life while seeking approval from people who fear change. There will always be opinions. Some will be thoughtful and valuable. Some will be careless and reactive. Learn to separate the two. Wise feedback challenges you to improve. Small thinking tries to make you doubt yourself. Pay attention to the source. Is this person disciplined? Are they building something? Do they take responsibility for their life, or do they complain often and avoid effort? If someone has not developed themselves, their criticism should not carry much weight in your mind. When you care too much about what small minds think, you begin to edit yourself. You speak less boldly. You act less decisively. You hesitate before making moves. That hesitation slowly weakens your confidence. Confidence grows when your actions are guided by your values, not by other people's reactions. There is a quiet strength in someone who stays steady while others talk. You do not need to argue with every critic. You do not need to defend every decision. Sometimes the most powerful response is calm progress. People who doubt you may watch closely. They may wait for you to fail. Let them watch. Let your results answer. Now, this does not mean ignoring everyone. It means choosing carefully who influences your thinking. Surround yourself with people who respect effort, people who are honest but supportive, people who push you to improve instead of pulling you back to comfort. Emotionally, it can feel lonely at times. When you stop caring about shallow opinions, you might distance yourself from certain conversations. You might notice silence where there used to be approval. That silence can feel heavy, but that space creates room for growth. There is freedom in not needing everyone to agree with you. When you walk into a room and speak clearly about your goals without worrying about eye rolls or whispers, something changes inside you. Your posture straightens. Your breathing becomes steady. You feel grounded. That feeling comes from self-approval. Self-approval is stronger than public approval. Think about how much energy you have wasted worrying about being judged, replaying conversations in your head, wondering what someone meant, questioning if you sounded foolish. That mental drain weakens your focus. That energy could have been used to build skill, improve health, or create opportunity. Small minds often focus on gossip. They analyze people instead of ideas. They measure worth based on comfort. If you allow that mindset to shape your behavior, you will never reach your potential. Your life is too valuable to be directed by limited thinking. There will be moments when someone close to you questions your ambition. That can hurt more deeply than criticism from strangers. You may feel disappointed. You may feel misunderstood. In those moments, remind yourself that not everyone can see what you see. Not everyone feels the drive you feel. You do not need universal understanding to move forward. Dangerous confidence is quiet certainty. It is the ability to move toward your goals even when applause is absent. It is the strength to stay consistent even when people doubt the outcome. Many people give up not because the goal was impossible, but because the opinions around them became louder than their own belief. Protect your belief carefully. Ask yourself a serious question. If nobody judged you, what would you attempt? If nobody laughed, what would you say? If nobody questioned you, how would you act? The answers to those questions reveal the version of you that is waiting to emerge. Stop asking for permission to grow. When you release the need to please small thinkers, you free your mind. Your decisions become clearer. You choose based on long-term results instead of short-term reactions. That clarity strengthens your confidence. There is something powerful about standing firm while others doubt. It builds inner stability. You begin to rely on your own standards. You begin to evaluate yourself based on effort and integrity instead of popularity. Remember this: the same people who question you today may respect you tomorrow when they see results. Human nature responds to proof, but you cannot wait for their respect before you act. Respect yourself first. There will be uncomfortable moments. You might be misunderstood. You might be labeled as overly ambitious. You might hear comments about changing. Accept that growth changes you. Growth refines your priorities. Growth sharpens your focus. Do not slow your progress to maintain shallow approval. Confidence deepens when you understand that criticism does not define your value. Opinions are temporary. Your character is lasting. Your work ethic is lasting. Your discipline is lasting. Keep building. As you grow stronger, something interesting happens. The noise around you becomes quieter in your mind, not because people stop talking, but because you stopped listening to what does not serve your growth. That is emotional maturity. You start asking better questions. Instead of wondering who disagrees, you ask whether your actions align with your goals. Instead of worrying about being liked, you focus on being effective. This shift creates power. Your walk becomes steady. Your voice becomes clear. Your decisions become firm. You are no longer easily shaken by passing remarks. That stability is what makes confidence dangerous in a positive way. It makes you unstoppable in your pursuit of progress. Small minds will always exist. Limited thinking will always speak. But you have a choice. You can either adjust your life to fit their comfort, or you can outgrow the need for their approval. Choose growth. Choose strength. Choose the long road over the easy applause. When you stop caring what small minds think, you reclaim control of your direction. And when you control your direction, you control your destiny. Chapter 3. Train yourself to act under pressure. Most people break under pressure because they were never trained to stay calm in chaos. They react instead of respond. They freeze instead of move. But here's the truth. Pressure is not your enemy. Pressure is your teacher. Pressure reveals what's real and exposes what's weak. And if you want to become dangerously confident, you must train yourself to act under pressure, not avoid it. The people who lead, the ones others follow, are not always the smartest. They are the ones who stay grounded when everything around them is uncertain. They are the ones who act when others wait. That doesn't come from luck or talent. It comes from daily practice. Pressure shows up in many forms. You feel it when you're asked to speak, and your heart races. You feel it before an important decision. You feel it when you're being watched, judged, or tested. Most people avoid these moments. They run from them, but every time you run from pressure, you hand away your power. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your training. So if you want to be the person who can speak with clarity in a meeting, who can stay calm when everything's on the line, who can make decisions when others are frozen, you need to train now. Not when it's comfortable, not when it's quiet. You train during the noise. Start small. Start with the daily things that make you feel uncomfortable. Speak up when it's easier to stay silent. Make the phone call you keep delaying. Say no when you usually say yes out of guilt. Each one of those moments is training. Each time you act, you prove to yourself that pressure does not control you. The body follows the mind. If your mind is anxious, your body tenses up. If your mind is calm, your breathing slows. So the first skill is learning to control your state. In the middle of pressure, the most powerful thing you can do is pause for just one breath, a deep one, not a fake inhale, but a real grounding breath. That 1 second buys you space between the pressure and your response. That space is where confidence lives. You're not trying to get rid of the nerves. You're learning how to move through them. Your palms might still sweat. Your heart might still race. That doesn't mean you're weak. That means you're alive. You just don't let it stop you. The people who move fast under pressure didn't start that way. They've practiced. They've failed. They've looked awkward, but they kept going. They leaned into the uncomfortable moments. And eventually, what used to scare them becomes normal. What used to feel like pressure becomes just another Tuesday, and you can do that too. But you have to be willing to look a little unpolished in the beginning. You have to be okay with feeling awkward. If you keep waiting until you feel ready, you'll wait your whole life. Confidence under pressure is not about removing fear. It's about building familiarity. Get familiar with discomfort. Put yourself in situations where you can be tested. Say yes to things that make you stretch. Volunteer to lead when you feel underqualified. Speak even if your voice shakes. That's how mental strength is built. Pressure doesn't care about your intentions. It responds to your preparation. So prepare with purpose. Rehearse your ideas out loud. Practice speaking clearly. Learn how to slow your breathing. Train your focus. Do the hard reps even when nobody is watching. Then when pressure arrives, your body will know what to do. Too many people crack under pressure because they never imagined themselves standing tall in it. Start imagining it now. See yourself calm in chaos. See yourself speaking with strength. Feel what that version of you would feel. Train your brain to see the situation differently. Pressure is just a signal. It's your mind telling you something important is happening. And when something important is happening, that's your moment to show up. Not perfectly, but powerfully. Let go of perfection. Pressure isn't asking you to be flawless. It's asking you to be present. People don't follow those who look the most polished. They follow those who stay composed and decisive. And you can become that person through reps, not through theory. Look back at your life. You've had moments of pressure before, and you're still here. You've survived difficult conversations. You've walked through fear. You've made tough choices. Don't forget that. Confidence is built by remembering how far you've come. But now it's time to go further. From this point forward, make pressure your training partner. Welcome it instead of avoiding it. Treat every uncomfortable situation as a chance to grow. When your heart beats fast, say, "This is where I get better." When your stomach tightens, say, "This is my time to move." Because it is. You won't always get it right. That's not the goal. The goal is to build the habit of action. Not waiting, not overthinking. Action, movement. Showing up when it's hard. That's what separates the average from the unstoppable. Confidence under pressure means you trust yourself even in unknown territory. It means your identity isn't shaken by one mistake. It means you know how to recover quickly. You don't spiral. You don't collapse. You learn. You adjust. You move forward. This kind of mindset gives you an edge in every area of life. In work, in relationships, in decision-making. When other people freeze, you keep going. When others delay, you act. And that makes you dangerous in the best way. but none of it happens by accident. It's built one moment at a time, one breath at a time, one challenge at a time. Don't wait for the pressure to go away. Step into it, stand in it, act through it. And each time you do, you become a little stronger, a little clearer, a little more prepared. That's how dangerous confidence is built, not in silence, not in comfort, but in motion. Train now, and when the real moment comes, you won't flinch, you'll act, and you'll know you've earned it. Chapter 4. Turn failure into fuel for growth. Failure is one of the most misunderstood parts of personal growth. Most people fear it. Most people avoid it. Some even carry it like a weight on their identity, as if one setback means they're broken. But the truth is, failure is not the problem. The problem is how people think about it. If you want to become dangerously confident, you must stop running from failure and start using it. You must turn failure into fuel for growth. Confidence doesn't grow in comfort. It grows in moments when things don't go your way, but you decide to keep showing up anyway. Failure is feedback. It shows you what didn't work. It teaches you what to fix. It reveals what to focus on next. And most importantly, it builds emotional toughness. When you learn how to face failure without losing yourself, you become powerful. You will not go far in life without facing rejection, disappointment, and setbacks. The people who win are not the ones who avoid all mistakes. They're the ones who know how to keep learning from every single one of them. The key is to stop seeing failure as the end. It is never the end unless you quit. It is part of the process. Think about the last time you failed. Maybe it was a test. Maybe it was a job you didn't get. Maybe it was a relationship you tried to hold on to but couldn't. At that moment, it probably hurt. You felt embarrassed, maybe ashamed, maybe angry at yourself. That's normal, but those feelings are only dangerous if you let them sit in your mind too long. You have to process the pain without becoming the pain. Feel it, own it, then shift into learning. Ask better questions. What went wrong? What part did I play? What can I improve? What would I do differently next time? These questions put you back in control, and control is where confidence begins. Failure shows you where your gaps are. It's not an insult to your worth. It's a spotlight on your current ability, and when you see it like that, it becomes a gift. It gives you the blueprint for progress. But most people don't want to feel exposed. That's why they don't try big things. Because if they never try, they never fail. And if they never fail, they never have to face those uncomfortable truths. But you cannot grow if you only do what you're already good at. Growth happens where you struggle. Growth happens where you're not yet skilled. Growth happens when you stretch yourself into situations that might not go well, but you go anyway. That kind of mindset builds real power, because it removes fear from your decisions. You stop asking, what if I fail? And you start asking, what will I learn? That one change will unlock more opportunity than years of playing it safe. Failure also teaches humility. It reminds you that you're always a student. No matter how far you go, there's always more to refine. The moment you think you have nothing left to learn is the moment you stop growing. Confidence and humility are not opposites. The most confident people are usually the most humble because they know how much they've learned from falling. But humility doesn't mean weakness. It means you don't attach your worth to being right. You attach it to being better. You'd rather grow than protect your ego. Every time you bounce back from failure, your identity shifts. You start seeing yourself as someone who doesn't break easily, someone who learns quickly, someone who takes hits and keeps going. That is what makes you unstoppable. Stop thinking of failure as a flaw in your story. It is part of the story. Every successful person has failed more times than most people have tried, but they kept their mind open. They stayed honest about their mistakes. They didn't hide from the truth. They used the truth. And so can you. Start by reframing your inner voice. When you fail, don't say I'm not good enough. Say this is what I need to improve. When you feel embarrassed, don't say I should have never tried. Say that was one more rep to build my resilience. When something doesn't work, don't say I'm done. Say this was one version, now I'll try another. Language matters. What you say to yourself after a failure becomes the belief you carry into your next opportunity. So speak to yourself like a leader. Speak like someone who is building something strong. Speak like someone who expects progress, not perfection. Your environment matters too. Be around people who value growth over image. People who aren't afraid to be seen learning. People who don't laugh at effort, but celebrate it. If you spend time around people who only talk about playing it safe, you'll start thinking that's normal, but it's not. Playing it safe is a trap. Playing it safe keeps you stuck. Use failure as fuel. When you get knocked down, write down exactly what happened. Don't avoid it. Don't sugarcoat it. Write the facts. Then write what you learned. Then write what you'll do next. That kind of clarity turns setbacks into strategy. When you train your mind to respond this way, you'll notice something shift. You won't be as shaken when things don't go right. You'll bounce back faster. You'll take more action. And the more action you take, the faster you improve. It becomes a cycle that feeds confidence. You'll stop overthinking because you'll know that failure won't destroy you. You'll stop hesitating because you'll trust your ability to adapt. You'll stop hiding because you'll understand that being seen failing is better than being unseen doing nothing. This is how confidence becomes real, not just in your words but in your core, because you'll know no matter what happens, you can figure it out, you can recover, you can learn, and that belief makes you dangerous, not to others but to the patterns that used to control you. So don't avoid failure, don't hide from it. Look it in the eye, use it, let it shape you, let it teach you, let it strengthen your focus, let it sharpen your strategy, let it push you to build a version of yourself that's more skilled, more grounded, and more confident than ever before. You don't need to be fearless, you need to be resilient. Failure will happen, it's supposed to, but you have a choice. You can take it personally, or you can take it seriously. One keeps you stuck, the other moves you forward. Choose the one that builds you, because the goal isn't to avoid falling. The goal is to rise better every single time. That's how you turn failure into fuel for growth, and that's how you build a life that no excuse can stop. Chapter 5. Make tough choices without seeking approval. Most people spend too much of their life waiting for someone to say, "That's a good idea," before they move forward. They hesitate before making tough choices because deep down they're scared of being wrong, judged, or rejected. They don't want to lose approval. They don't want to disappoint anyone. But if you want to become dangerously confident, you have to stop looking over your shoulder when it's time to make a decision. You have to learn how to make tough choices without seeking permission, without needing applause, and without watering yourself down just to stay accepted. You have to trust yourself, and trust doesn't come from hoping things work out. It comes from showing up for your own life over and over again, especially when the choice in front of you isn't easy. The truth is, nobody else is living your life. Nobody else is feeling your daily frustration. Nobody else knows what's eating you up inside. So why are you letting someone else's opinion have the final say on what you do next? Tough choices shape your future, and the longer you wait to make them, the longer you stay stuck in a version of life that doesn't reflect who you're becoming. Some choices will make people uncomfortable. Some will cause distance. Some will be misunderstood. That's the cost of choosing growth, and it's a price you must be willing to pay. It might be the choice to leave something behind, a job, a relationship, a pattern, or even a belief that no longer fits. It might be the choice to start something new, even though you're scared. It might be the decision to finally speak up when staying silent has been your habit for years. These decisions aren't small, they come with risk, but they also come with freedom. Waiting for approval feels safe, but it drains your power. You give away your direction, one opinion at a time. You build a habit of doubt. You start second-guessing yourself in every conversation. And worst of all, you start living for their comfort instead of your truth. There's a moment in every life where you have to ask yourself, who am I doing this for? If the answer is to keep everyone else happy while you stay frustrated, you already know the choice you're avoiding. Nobody strong and confident got there by being liked all the time. They got there by being honest, clear, and unshakable in their decisions. That doesn't mean you become cold. It doesn't mean you ignore advice from people you respect. But it does mean you stop putting your peace on hold just because someone else wouldn't choose the same thing. You were not born to fit inside other people's expectations. You were born to build your own path. Making tough choices requires clarity, not just in your goals but in your values. You have to know what matters most. What kind of life do you want to live? What kind of person do you want to become? When your values are clear, your choices become more simple, not easier, but more direct. And with each decision you make from that place, you build self-respect. Approval seeking feels good for a moment. It's like a quick fix. You post the update, someone agrees, and you feel seen, but it fades fast, because deep down, you know that the people clapping for you don't carry the weight of your life. And when the applause fades, you're still the one responsible for where you're headed. You don't need a crowd to move forward. You need courage. You will be misunderstood. That's guaranteed. You will make choices people don't get. They might talk. They might question you. But their confusion is not your problem. Your job is not to be understood by everyone. It's to be real with yourself. And here's the deeper truth. Most people can't understand your choices because they've never had the courage to make their own. So when you do something bold, it threatens their comfort. It reminds them that they've been playing small, and instead of dealing with that, they judge. But that's not about you. That's their own fear speaking. You can either keep editing your life to avoid judgment, or you can accept that judgment is a part of the price for personal freedom. When you start making tough choices without needing approval, you take full ownership of your path. You stop blaming. You stop explaining. You stop trying to make everyone happy. That shift gives you room to grow. It clears your energy. It strengthens your focus. Tough choices demand presence. They wake you up. They make you aware of how serious your future really is. They force you to look in the mirror and ask, what do I really want? Not what will impress people, not what will get applause. What do I want when nobody's watching? If you can answer that with honesty, and then act on it, you are ahead of 90% of people. And here's what happens next. When you start trusting your own voice, it gets louder. When you follow through on your decisions, your self-belief grows. You stop over-explaining. You stop over-apologizing. You just move. Confident, direct, aligned. That's dangerous confidence, because it can't be manipulated. It can't be controlled by opinions. It doesn't wait for the room to approve before it moves forward. There's a cost to standing on your own. You might lose some comfort. You might outgrow some friendships. You might walk alone for a while. But what you gain in self-trust, self-worth and freedom is priceless. So if you're at a decision point right now, if there's something you know you need to do but you're scared of how people will respond, take a deep breath and ask yourself, am I going to live this life for them or for me? There is no perfect time, there is no guaranteed reaction, but there is a clear choice, and it's yours to make. Stop asking for permission to be yourself. You are allowed to make choices others don't understand. You are allowed to move in a direction that feels right for you. You are allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to step away from what no longer feels right. And you don't owe anyone an explanation for doing what's necessary for your growth. Keep your circle small and your mind clear. Take in advice only from people who've earned your respect through how they live, not just how they talk. And even then, the final decision is yours, always yours. That's what makes it powerful. When you own your decisions, you own your life. You stop floating. You stop being pulled in 10 directions. You stop living for approval that never lasts. And you start becoming someone you can be proud of, not just in public, but in private. That's where real confidence lives. So the next time you're standing at the edge of a tough choice, and your mind starts wondering what people will think, pause, remind yourself who you're becoming. Remind yourself what matters, and make the choice that builds the future you want, not the one that keeps everyone else comfortable, because the only approval you truly need is your own, and when you have that, nothing can stop you.
Chapter 6. Develop calm power in stressful moments. Stress is part of life. You feel it before speaking in front of a group, when you're being challenged, when something goes wrong at work, or when life throws you into an uncertain place. It's easy to fall apart in those moments. It's easy to panic, overreact, shut down, or lose control. But the people who become truly confident, the kind of confident that you can feel when they enter a room, are the ones who learn to develop calm power in stressful moments. Calm power is not fake peace. It's not pretending everything is okay when it's not. It's not a smile that hides fear. It's the inner ability to stay grounded, even when things around you feel chaotic.
It's knowing that you have the strength to handle the moment, even when it's uncomfortable. It's moving with intention, not panic. Most people wait until life forces them to be calm. They wait for everything to settle down. But real confidence is built by staying steady while the pressure is still there, while your heart is beating fast, while your chest feels tight, while your mind is racing. That's when it matters most. When you're in the middle of stress, your body reacts. You might feel heat rising, your muscles tense, you can't think clearly. That's your nervous system doing its job. But you don't have to let it take control. You can train it. You can teach your body and your brain to respond instead of react. That training starts with awareness. The first step is to notice what your stress feels like. Where does it show up in your body? What thoughts come up when things go wrong? What habits do you fall into when the pressure builds? Some people go quiet. Some get angry. Some avoid. Some overtalk. If you don't know your pattern, you'll repeat it without thinking. Calm power means breaking that pattern. When something triggers stress, pause. That pause is a weapon. It gives you space to choose your next move. You don't need a long break, just a moment, a breath, a single second where you step back mentally and remind yourself, this is pressure, this is stress, I can handle this. That one sentence can stop a spiral. You don't need to remove the stress, you need to manage your response. Life won't always give you easy moments, but it will always give you the choice to show up with clarity or chaos. That choice becomes your strength. Training yourself to stay calm means practicing in small ways before the big moments come. When you're running late, can you stay collected? When someone talks over you, can you hold your energy? When plans change, can you stay centered? These situations might seem minor, but they are practice, and practice builds muscle. You build emotional muscle the same way you build physical muscle, through repetition, not once, not when it's convenient, every single day. And here's something most people miss. Calmness doesn't mean stillness. You can move fast while being calm. You can make strong decisions with a steady mind. The power is not in doing less. It's in not letting the stress decide for you. Stressful moments test your identity. They ask, who are you when things don't go as planned? If you only feel confident when life is smooth, you haven't built real confidence yet. Real confidence is when you can walk into pressure and know that you won't break. Even if you stumble, you know how to get back up. That level of strength is earned. It's earned by facing stress, not escaping it. It's earned by breathing through hard conversations, by standing tall when others are panicking, by being the calm one in the storm, not because you're unaffected, but because you've trained yourself to respond differently. You can be the person others look to when things get hard. You can be the person who holds the room steady. You can be the one who doesn't lose their voice when the tension rises. That kind of presence is rare, and it's respected. To get there, you must train your thoughts. Stressful moments are full of mental noise. Thoughts like, what if I fail? What if I say the wrong thing? What if this falls apart? Those thoughts are normal, but you can't let them take the lead. Replace them with something stronger. I know how to handle this. I can figure this out. I've faced hard things before. You're not lying to yourself. You're reminding your brain of your ability. The mind will believe whatever it hears most often. Feed it thoughts that build strength, not fear. And over time, those thoughts will become automatic. You'll face stress, and your first reaction will be trust, not panic. And let's be honest, sometimes you will feel overwhelmed. Sometimes you will react. You're human. But the goal is not perfection. The goal is progress. If it used to take you 2 hours to calm down, make it 1, then make it 10 minutes, then make it a breath. That's how growth works, inch by inch. People will notice the change. They'll feel it in how you carry yourself. You won't need to explain it. Calm power is quiet, but clear. It shows up in your eyes, your posture, your voice, and the world responds to it. Stressful moments are not the enemy. They're your training ground. Every hard day is a chance to become sharper. Every challenge is an opportunity to practice. The more pressure you face with control, the more confidence you build. And this isn't just about public moments. This is about private ones too. When you're alone and anxious, when something falls apart, when you feel overwhelmed, can you sit with those emotions without running? Can you stay with yourself through the discomfort? That's calm power. It's not loud. It's not flashy. It's solid.
It's real, and it gives you the strength to handle life as it comes, not as you wish it would be. So don't wait for stress to disappear. Start training now. Train by choosing stillness over panic. Train by controlling your breath. Train by holding eye contact. Train by deciding to stay grounded, even when everything says to run. With time, you'll realize that stressful moments no longer control you. You control your energy. You decide how you show up. And that decision made over and over again will build the kind of confidence that nothing can shake.
Chapter 7. Create standards that demand self-respect. The way you treat yourself sets the tone for everything else in your life. Every choice you make either builds your self-respect or slowly breaks it down. Most people think confidence comes from compliments, success, or approval. But lasting confidence starts with standards, the ones you set for yourself, the ones you live by, even when nobody's watching. If you want to become dangerously confident, you have to create standards that demand self-respect. You don't rise to what you hope for, you rise to what you accept. And the problem for most people is not a lack of desire, it's a lack of personal standards. They let things slide. They say yes when they mean no. They stay quiet when they want to speak. They let distractions steal their time, and little by little, they lose trust in themselves. You can't feel strong on the inside if your behavior constantly goes against your values. And self-respect is not something you get from the outside. It's something you build by showing yourself that your word means something, that your time matters, that your peace is worth protecting, that your future is worth the effort. Your standards should not be based on what's easy. They should be based on who you want to become. Ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be when nobody's watching? What does that version of me tolerate? What does that version of me expect? What does that version of me walk away from? You can't fake confidence when your standards are weak. If you let people disrespect your time, if you make excuses for laziness, if you keep habits that go against your goals, your self-respect takes the hit, even if nobody else sees it. You feel it, and it shows in how you carry yourself. So raise the bar, not just in what you say, but in how you live. Don't expect others to treat you better than you treat yourself. If you show up late for yourself, if you break your own boundaries, if you let comfort win over growth, you're teaching your brain that your standards don't matter. And that's where most people get stuck. They want more confidence, but they don't want to hold the line. They want to feel strong, but they don't want the discipline that strength requires. But dangerous confidence doesn't come from words. It comes from consistency. You don't build it in a day. You build it every time you make a choice that aligns with your higher self. Every time you say no to a shortcut. Every time you stop entertaining people who drain you. Every time you stop chasing things that don't respect your value. Every time you hold the line when it would be easier to bend. Your life will change the moment your standards become non-negotiable. You have to decide, what do you no longer allow? Not in anger, not in reaction, but in clarity. You can do this with your time, your health, your relationships, your goals. Draw the line, then honor it, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, because that's when the real self-respect is built. It's not about being harsh, it's about being honest. Honest enough to admit where you've let things slide. Honest enough to look at your daily habits and ask if they match the life you say you want. Honest enough to stop blaming others for standards you haven't enforced. Self-respect is not about perfection, it's about alignment. It's about living in a way that matches what you say matters to you. And that might mean making some uncomfortable changes. That might mean walking away from things that feel familiar. That might mean having conversations you've been avoiding. But every hard decision you make to protect your standards adds to your strength, and the more you live by those standards, the clearer your energy becomes. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't get it. You stop needing validation. You stop questioning your worth, because you've already decided who you are, and your actions prove it daily. That's what makes you dangerous, not because you're arrogant, but because you're grounded. You don't get pushed around by pressure. You don't chase temporary approval. You don't depend on outside validation. You have your own code, and you live by it. It might feel like sacrifice at first, saying no to comfort, saying no to people who don't respect you, saying no to the easy way out. But over time, it becomes peace.
It becomes power. It becomes presence. You stop being pulled in 10 different directions. You start moving with purpose. People will notice. They may not understand it. They may not like it, but they will feel it. Because real standards create real presence. You no longer need to talk about your boundaries. People can feel them. You no longer need to prove your worth. Your life reflects it. And when someone crosses the line, you won't panic or react. You'll calmly enforce your standard. No drama, no debate, just clarity. That kind of calm enforcement only comes when you respect yourself enough to stop tolerating disrespect in any form from others or from yourself. This applies to how you treat your body, what you put into it, how you move it, how you rest. It applies to how you spend your time, what you consume, what you scroll, what you allow into your space. It applies to your goals, what you prioritize, what you invest in, what you delay for no reason. Every part of your life is a reflection of the standards you've set or failed to set. If you want to feel proud when you look in the mirror, it won't come from talking. It will come from living in a way that you respect. It will come from keeping the promises you make to yourself. It will come from saying, "This is what I expect from me," and then showing up accordingly. People might not understand your new boundaries. Some may fall away. That's okay. The goal is not to keep everyone happy. The goal is to become someone you don't have to lie to, someone you don't have to escape from, someone you can trust fully. That kind of trust changes how you think. It changes how you speak. It changes how you walk into a room. You don't shrink. You don't over-explain. You don't tolerate nonsense. You're calm. You're clear. You're solid. Because your standards built that. Start today. Choose one standard that needs to change. One area where you've been too flexible. One pattern that doesn't match the life you're aiming for. Change it. Honor it. Keep it. Let that one shift ripple through the rest of your life. Because once you raise your standards, your entire life starts to rise with it.
Chapter 8. Move first while others keep doubting. Most people spend their life waiting to feel ready, waiting for a sign, waiting for someone else to go first, waiting until the doubt goes away. But the truth is, doubt never disappears. It only gets quieter when action gets louder. If you want to stand out in this world, you can't move like the rest. You have to move first while others keep doubting. Confidence isn't found in thinking, it's found in doing. You become dangerous the moment you stop hesitating, the moment you stop overanalyzing every outcome, the moment you take the first step without needing 10 reasons why it's guaranteed to work. People who wait for certainty end up living life in neutral. They miss chances. They overthink what they should have just done. The people who change things, who shift culture, who build bold lives, they're not always the most qualified. They're the ones who start when everyone else is stuck in opinions. You have to train yourself to act fast on what matters. You don't need to be reckless, but you do need to be decisive. While others are busy building perfect plans, you move. While others are debating what could go wrong, you're already learning from experience. That's the difference between growth and stagnation. You either make progress or you make excuses, but you can't do both. Most people don't act because they're waiting for doubt to disappear. But doubt is just fear, trying to disguise itself as logic. It wants to sound reasonable. It says things like, "Be careful, maybe next week, make sure everything is set up first." But deep down, it's just fear in a suit and tie. It sounds responsible, but it's killing your momentum. Momentum is everything. And momentum doesn't come from thinking, it comes from action. Small steps, quick moves, bold choices. You don't need a 10-year plan, you need a next step. And you need to take it before your mind talks you out of it. Think about the last time you hesitated. Maybe it was something you wanted to say, something you wanted to launch, a person you wanted to approach, a decision you knew was right but waited too long to make. You felt the pull, but you let the doubt win. And what did that hesitation give you? Nothing. It gave you regret. The longer you wait, the harder it gets. Doubt grows in silence. It grows in stillness. But when you act, even if it's not perfect, you break that mental loop. You interrupt the fear. You teach your mind that action is always possible, even when it's messy. Don't try to silence doubt. Just move in spite of it.
People are always watching, but few are moving. That's why initiative stands out. In a room full of hesitation, the one who moves with purpose leads. You don't need permission to be that person. You just need to care more about progress than comfort. This applies to everything. Your goals, your career, your health, your relationships, your leadership. Wherever you are right now, there is something you've been delaying. Something you keep putting off because you're waiting for the perfect timing, the perfect answer, the perfect mood. But perfect is a myth, and delay is a trap. You become powerful the day you stop negotiating with hesitation. You become dangerous the day you start trusting your own pace, your own ideas, your own inner signal, more than the opinions around you. While they doubt, you act. While they watch, you build. It doesn't mean you won't feel nervous. It means you move anyway. Confidence is not a feeling you wait for. It's a habit you create. The more you act first, the more you train your nervous system to stay calm when it matters. That's how leaders are made, not through ease, but through repeated steps into the unknown. When you start moving faster than your doubts, you begin building evidence. Evidence that you can handle discomfort. Evidence that you don't need external approval. Evidence that you're not defined by overthinking. That evidence becomes your confidence. It's not hype, it's earned belief. And here's something most won't tell you. You'll fail sometimes. You'll get it wrong. You'll take a step and fall. But so what? Every time you move, you're ahead of where you were before. Every failure teaches you something no book can teach. Every stumble builds real grit. That's something people who sit and watch will never understand. You were not built to wait your way into greatness. You were built to act. You were built to choose when it's hard, to speak when it's awkward, to show up before you feel ready. That's what separates a leader from a follower, a builder from a dreamer. Moving first doesn't mean moving blindly. It means acting with intention, even when others are unsure. It means knowing your reasons and stepping forward because those reasons matter more than other people's fears. It means you're done wasting time trying to convince others before you convince yourself. And the best part is this: the more you move first, the more you inspire others to do the same. Your courage becomes permission for someone else to stop waiting. Your pace shows them what's possible. You don't need to yell about it. You don't need to announce it. Just move. People feel the energy of someone who trusts themselves. The world doesn't need more thinkers. It needs more doers. It needs people who stop waiting for the perfect mood and start working with what they have. People who use the tools available, even if they're not ideal. People who build while others critique. People who move before they're sure. That kind of person becomes unforgettable. That kind of person makes impact. That kind of person creates momentum, not just for themselves but for others. Because doubt is contagious, but so is action. So whatever you're sitting on, the idea, the message, the decision, stop analyzing it to death. Start, move, build, say the thing, launch the thing, do the thing, let others doubt, let them wait, let them watch. You've got something better to do. You've got a life to lead, a mission to walk, a standard to live by, and that won't happen by waiting for clarity to knock on your door. You have to go get it. You have to make it. And that begins with one move, one step, one act of defiance against fear. That's how you build confidence that doesn't shake. That's how you become dangerous in the best way possible, not by talking, not by watching, but by moving first, every time, no matter what. Chapter 9. Trust your gut and follow through. You know more than you think. Deep down you felt it, that quiet signal, that pull in your chest, that sense that something's right or wrong before the facts are all there. That's your gut. It doesn't speak in loud words or perfect logic. It speaks in instincts, in subtle tension, in the way something doesn't sit right, or how something else makes you feel more alive. And most people feel it, but few actually follow it. If you want to build a life filled with clarity, confidence, and personal power, you must learn to trust your gut and follow through, not sometimes, but every time it speaks. You've probably had moments where you ignored that signal, you talked yourself out of it, you let others override it. You doubted it because it wasn't backed by logic or proof. And what happened? The decision turned out wrong. You knew it before it even played out, because your intuition was right, not magical, not mystical, just deeply rooted in truth. Your mind hadn't fully processed yet. You see, your gut is not some mystical force. It's your body and mind picking up on patterns. It's built on your life experience, your past lessons, your core values, your emotional memory, your subtle reading of people and energy. It's fast, it's real, and it's powerful, but only if you listen to it. The problem is, most people hear it and then wait. They hear the signal, then talk themselves into doubt. They say things like, maybe I'm overthinking, or what if I'm wrong, or let me ask a few more people first. But when you do that, the moment passes, the clarity gets clouded, and the longer you hesitate, the more confusion you create. There's a reason you feel what you feel. Your body keeps score, it remembers, it alerts you, and if you keep ignoring it, you disconnect from your own judgment. You start relying on others to tell you what to do. You live by advice instead of alignment. You end up saying yes when you mean no, staying when you should walk away, settling when you know you're meant for more. Confidence comes when you stop betraying yourself. Learning to trust your gut doesn't mean ignoring facts. It means you include your instinct in the process. You don't need everything on paper to feel what's right. Some of the biggest decisions in your life won't come with full certainty, but they will come with a moment of clarity, a pull you either act on or ignore. When you act on it, you step into power. When you ignore it, you stay stuck. Following through is what seals the deal. It's not enough to just feel something, you have to act on it. That's where growth happens. That's where you build trust with yourself. Every time you feel something in your gut and move on it, even when it's uncomfortable, you prove to yourself that you're someone who listens, who leads, who moves with integrity. You don't build self-trust by getting everything right. You build it by honoring your own signals. That might mean leaving a situation even though it's not broken on the outside, but it's draining you on the inside. That might mean starting something new even though others don't get it yet. That might mean taking a step when nobody else is cheering, but deep down you know, and that knowing is all you need. You won't always be able to explain your gut decisions. Sometimes it'll sound crazy to others, but that's okay. Your growth doesn't need to be approved by the crowd. You weren't put here to play by everyone else's logic. You were put here to follow what's real to you, and that takes courage. The more you do it, the clearer it becomes. You'll start noticing the patterns. You'll catch the early signs. You'll feel when something's off without needing a full breakdown. You'll sense when something's aligned before you see the results. That's real awareness. That's presence. That's maturity. Following through also means standing by your decision, even when things get hard. It's easy to trust your gut when it goes smoothly, but what about when there's resistance? What about when people question you? What about when it takes longer than you expected? That's the test. That's where your belief has to be stronger than your need for reassurance. When you move based on your own truth, not everyone will get it. Some will doubt you, some will mock you, some will try to pull you back. But you can't let outside noise drown your inner knowing. They don't feel what you feel. They don't carry your vision. They don't live with your consequences. You do. You have to live with your choices. So why let someone else choose for you? That applies to every area of life. In relationships, you know when something's not right. In your career, you know when you're not fulfilled. In your habits, you know when you're drifting. In your daily life, you know when you're not aligned. The gut always speaks, but it's your job to honor it. When you live this way, you walk differently, not with arrogance, but with quiet clarity. You don't panic when things shift. You don't rush to fix what isn't yours. You don't carry guilt for making the right choice for you. You just move with conviction. That's what makes you magnetic. That's what makes you unshakable. And people feel it. They may not say it out loud, but they'll notice. They'll notice how you don't flinch under pressure, how you don't need constant feedback to keep going, how you're not always questioning yourself. That's not luck. That's not ego. That's the result of years of listening to yourself and acting on what you hear. Most people want confidence, but don't realize it starts with inner honesty. You can't lie to yourself and expect to feel strong. You can't keep avoiding the truth and expect to feel grounded. You have to live in alignment. You have to make decisions that feel clean, even if they're hard. When you trust your gut and follow through, you may not always win fast, but you win real. You win with integrity. You win with peace. You sleep better. You walk lighter. You stop needing to explain every move because you know exactly why you made it. That kind of life is rare. That kind of strength is built. You already have the voice inside you. You've had it since the beginning. The work now is to stop silencing it. Stop second-guessing it. Stop replacing it with noise. Listen to it. Follow it. Stand by it. Let it lead you, and you'll never go wrong. Even when it's hard, even when it's uncertain, even when nobody claps, follow through anyway. Because at the end of the day, the most powerful thing you can say is, I trusted myself and I acted on it. That's where your next level begins. Not out there, in here, in that quiet knowing, in that decision you've been avoiding, in that step you know you need to take. Take it. No more waiting. No more asking for signs. The signal already came. It came from you. Trust it and follow through.
Chapter 10. Live boldly so others feel it. There's something powerful about being in the presence of someone who's fully alive. You feel it before they speak. You see it in how they walk, how they look at you, how they carry themselves with full ownership of who they are. They don't chase attention, but they get it. Not because they're louder than everyone, but because they've made a decision to live boldly. That kind of energy can't be faked. It's real, and it's rare. If you want to become dangerously confident, you have to live in a way that others feel, not because you're trying to impress them, but because you've stopped hiding. Most people live small because they've been trained to. They've been told not to stand out, not to be too intense, not to take up too much space, so they play it safe. They lower their voice. They quiet their passions. They wait to be invited before they show up fully, and eventually they start to feel invisible. Not because they don't matter, but because they've forgotten how to live from their truth. Living boldly doesn't mean being reckless. It doesn't mean performing for others. It means being fully expressed. It means you speak when something matters. You move on the things that light you up. You stop needing proof before you take a step. You allow yourself to be seen in your full power, not just the polished parts, but the real ones. And when you live like that, people notice. You create impact without needing a stage. Your presence changes conversations. Your energy gives others permission to rise, not because you told them to, but because they can feel your freedom. Freedom is contagious, so is courage, so is clarity. And when you live from that place, your life becomes a message, not a speech, not a slogan, but a real-life example of what's possible when someone stops waiting. Bold living starts with honesty. You can't be bold and fake. You can't live from your gut and constantly filter yourself. You can't chase meaning while wearing a mask. If something isn't working, you call it out. If something needs to change, you take the first step. If a decision feels right, you trust it. That kind of life doesn't need constant approval because it runs on something deeper, alignment. You have to stop watering yourself down. Stop shrinking so others don't feel insecure. Stop holding back your opinions, your ideas, your drive, just to stay accepted. Because that kind of life may keep you liked, but it will never let you lead, and you weren't meant to blend in. You were meant to become something real. Bold doesn't mean loud. Bold means clear. Bold means grounded. Bold means you walk into the room knowing what you stand for. You don't fold when others doubt. You don't flinch when the pressure rises. You don't second-guess yourself every time you're challenged. You show up with strength, not because life is easy, but because you've done the inner work. People are always watching, not to judge you, but to see what's possible. When they see you living with intention, they start asking themselves hard questions. When they see you saying no to things that don't align, they start rethinking what they've been tolerating. When they see you chasing what matters, they remember what they've been putting off. Your boldness isn't about you. It's about what it unlocks in others. But none of that happens if you keep waiting. None of that happens if you keep hiding. You don't inspire anyone by playing it safe. You don't lead anyone by living in fear. You have to go first. You have to go all in. You have to wake up every day and decide to live wide open, no matter who understands it, no matter who claps. There will be people who don't get it, people who think you've changed, people who say you're too much or too intense or too focused. That's fine. You're not living for them. You're living for the version of you that refuses to waste time, the version of you that's done holding back, the version of you that knows life is short, and most people never even scratch the surface of what they're capable of.
You don't have to wait until you're more prepared. You don't have to wait until you're fully healed. You don't need a perfect backstory or a clean history. All you need is a decision to stop apologizing for who you are, a decision to stop delaying your potential, a decision to finally live the way you were always meant to. People feel your energy before you say a word. So how are you showing up? Do you walk with conviction? Do you stand like someone who respects themselves? Do you speak like someone who believes in their message? You don't need to say the right thing. You need to mean what you say. Living boldly also means you stop looking for shortcuts. You stop hoping someone will save you. You stop waiting for the right moment. You take full responsibility for your time, for your growth, for your choices. That kind of responsibility is heavy, but it's also freeing, because once you own your life, nobody can control you. You'll make mistakes. You'll fail sometimes. You'll take risks that don't work out. But that's what bold people do. They act anyway. They trust themselves to adapt. They don't need everything to be perfect. They just need it to be real. And that kind of realness is magnetic. You might not change the world in a day, but you'll start changing the space around you. Your friends will notice. Your team will notice. Your family will notice. Not because you said something fancy, but because they can feel the shift in how you carry yourself. And that's the point. You live boldly so that others feel the permission to do the same. You live boldly so that your kids, your friends, your community see someone living with integrity and strength. You live boldly because your life becomes a lighthouse, not a spotlight, but a steady presence that reminds people to rise. That's legacy. That's leadership. That's what real confidence looks like. And it starts now, not later, not next year, not when everything is figured out. You've waited long enough. You've played small long enough. You've doubted your voice long enough. Decide today to live fully. Speak what's true. Walk your path. Stop asking if you're too much, and start asking if you're giving enough. Enough presence, enough effort, enough truth, enough you. Because the world doesn't need another copy. It needs you, fully alive, fully expressed, and fully committed to living boldly. So start now, and don't look back.